Lobola, a Bride's True Price, recently had its world premiere at the Pan-African Film Festival in Los Angeles in February. It was the runner-up of the Adiaha Award for Best Documentary Film by an African Woman at the Encounter South African International Documentary Festival and a nominee in the Best Documentary category at the Africa Academy Movie Awards. Now, the two-part thought-provoking documentary series is set to premiere on our sister channel, SABC 1, on the 3rd of April, and it is directed and produced by Sihle Hlophe, and she is in studio with us to tell us more about the documentary. Sihle, good morning. So good to see you again. Yes. I mean, for somebody who may not know, who may not have an idea of what Lobola Bride's Price is about, give them a brief synopsis of what it's about.
Okay, so it's my personal journey, right? So I'm a director primarily, but when I was going through my own Lobola process, at the time I wanted to make a film about Bantu people, our history, our pre-colonial history, and that manifested itself in how do we practice that today is through cattle and through Lobola. So it's my own personal journey as I vacillate and decide whether to do it or not, and it's then me going to the Lobola ceremonies of other couples as well, and looking at the different steps of the Lobola process and some of the underlying themes and issues that run through it in order to help me make my own decision.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about how well it's done. What do you think, what do you attribute that to? I've spoken a lot about how well it did at the Africa Academy Movie Awards. You were at Encounters as well. Tell us a little bit about that and why do you think it did so well?
Sure. I don't know why. I attribute it to God, to the ancestors, to the family members that have supported and been in the film, to the crew members that have supported, my mentor, Sitole. But I think I really poured my heart into it. I gave my all. I just told myself that if this is the last story I tell, then so be it. I'll have to pour everything into it.
Yeah. And how did it do in Los Angeles? We touched a little bit about that. What was the reaction from the audience?
Okay, it was received well in Los Angeles. I couldn't attend personally, but of course there are links between us and the people in the diaspora, in the Americas and everywhere. So the similarities that are there, and for them to see an African woman with agency who's making her own decisions and unpacking her culture in a way that's respectful and not stigmatizing it is something that's refreshing. So I hope we can have more conversations like that.
And now you're premiering on SABC 1. That's a big deal, hey? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so now the documentary is a two-part series. It's on SABC 1. We had part 1 on a Monday evening, and part 2 will be this Monday, the 3rd of April at 9:30.
In your view, what has been the most, interesting thing about doing this documentary and seeing it grow, from when it started and now? For you, what are the lessons that have also come from this to say, you said you put your heart out in it, but you see it grow, wings and legs.
Yeah, today I was like, wow, this thing is actually growing on its own, and it's very fulfilling because primarily for me, I call myself a social entrepreneur who runs a film-driven social enterprise, and for me to see Omakoti, Omkwenyana, Gogo and Mkulu like really coming back and saying, see here, this is how I feel, these are my views, have you looked at it from this way? And bridging that gap, that for me is very fulfilling. Those conversations, intergenerational conversations.
And does it seem like you might add a part 3? I mean, because they're suggesting that you do this and do that.
Well, yeah, because there's lots of other things we'd like to explore. Interracial Lobola, in other African countries as well. Lobola has, so outside the confines of the nuclear family, we can go on and on. So yeah, definitely, hopefully.
All right. Sihle, thank you so much for talking to us. Good luck with the documentary going in and going forward. Thank you so much for talking to us. Well, in an effort to learn more about the practice before making a final decision, Sihle Hlophe has produced and directed a documentary called Lobola, a Bride's True Price, and it's premiering on SABC 1 on the 3rd of April, and of course directed by Sihle